What's going on, everybody? It's ShamefulPenguin here, back with another video. Today we're going to be getting into my Raider Omniscience Tornado Shot build I made for 3.18 Sentinel League. Now this build is very fun. It is fast. It is your primary farming build. If you're going to juice some deli, you can definitely run it. I think I can run up to 8 tiers comfortably. Tier 9 kind of gets us slightly uncomfortable for the budget I'm at. So I would need to definitely make a few upgrades if I'm going to be a full deli juicer. But this build can handle a lot of content. Obviously, it can't boss. You guys should already know that. But overall, I went Raider because a few of you guys asked the differences between Deadeye and Raider, which one is better. And I wanted to answer that by building a new character, and then I wanted to build it for the new league because I knew I was going to make this build again anyways. So I just wanted to talk about that. Raider versus Deadeye, my comparisons are going to be at the end of the video, so if you guys are interested in that, go to the timestamp or just skip along. I have it somewhere where I talk about Deadeye versus Raider. There's going to be a tag somewhere, so skip to that if that's what you want. Anyways, we're going to be talking about Raider. Raider scales frenzy charges and its Ascendency. We get free phasing, which was actually clutch for Sentinel League, because when you are trying to juice the Sentinels, walking through the packs and popping your Sentinels was free because we had phasing. We also get some nice spell suppress through the Ascendancy, ailment avoidance. We get some pretty nice stuff with Raider, so Raider was a really good choice. And I'm going to talk about the differences. Overall, the only thing I'm going to say is that Raider, you're going to need more of a budget to get it going at a good pace, versus Deadeye, it can kind of just start without too huge of investments. You're definitely going to need to invest a lot in your bow and the Omniscience, which is super important and super pricey this league. But other than that, everything else is kind of lower budget that's mandatory to start the build. But for Raider, you're going to need some good boots, some good tailwind boots to make it feel even as smooth as Deadeye. So let's start talking about the gear. The first thing we're going to want to make sure we have a really good rolls on are the bows. So the bow is very important for this build. You're going to want to make sure you have a ton of flat damage. With the Omniscience, you have a crazy amount of elemental damage pen, so we're going to be making sure we have a ton of elemental damage. Without tons of flat elemental damage, this build's going to feel like garbage. So you're going to need to make sure you invest a lot into your bow. That's the primary thing that's going to make this build feel really good. The other thing is that you can go fizz with this and then go cold conversion or lightning conversion or fire conversion, whatever you prefer. Cold conversion is the easiest to attain, but if you're going full fizz, you're going to want to make sure you convert the damage, so you get that elemental pen. Spine bow is pretty much going to be the choice for both versions. The physical bow is going to be much more expensive than the elemental version, and thanks to Sentinel League in Recombinators, this league bows were a lot cheaper to obtain with some really good rolls. I got an Essence, double T2, I got attack speed and crafted crit. You can get some really crazy ones for spending even more. I don't know how much mine would cost anymore because I bought this very earlier into the league, so I have no idea on the prices for that. And I also crafted a lot of my own gear, so I can't really vouch for prices necessarily. We're gonna go with the quiver. The quiver, I just got life and +1 arrow. That's pretty much it on a broadhead base, so I got a little bit of attack speed. Ideally, you're going to want some attributes, so I got 9 dex. You can get up to like 55, so you're going to want to get more dexterity, strength, or int. Doesn't matter which one, you're just going to want to have a lot of them. +1 arrow actually feels very nice. I highly suggest you guys try to get that because Raider, the +1 arrow, we're losing +2 arrows from the Deadeye Ascendancy because we don't have that. But spoilers, I am using Forbidden Flame to get the arrows. So, but getting the extra arrow, either you can get an extra arrow on your bow, but it's going to cost like 8 times the price of what mine cost. And if you get one on your quiver, it's just going to be slightly more expensive. It's really not that hard to roll it on a quiver. So, yeah. Let's talk about the helmet. The helmet's pretty similar. You're going to want to make sure you get tornado shots, fire, an additional projectile. All the bases for the armor are going to be armor evasion, because we are armor evasion this build. We're scaling grace and determination, so try to get the hybrid rolls. If you can't, just I think armor is the better roll, so get huge big armor rolls are really nice for your defenses. But overall, you're going to want life and attributes. And then I went with reduced mana reservation of skills. And this was really nice because I could easily fit in a level 20 precision, whereas I was struggling to fit a high level precision in the last version of the build. So getting reduced mana reserved was a cool add-in. You can just, if you feel like crafting it yourself, use the Essence of Loathing, slam that on helmets. And yeah, you'll get the reduced mana reserved. You can also get reduced mana reserved on your body armor, which is really nice. And if you get both, you can even add in maybe a new aura, or swap out something like Herald of Ice for Wrath, which might be, well, which is a huge damage increase. Next, the body armor. I tried to craft my own. It didn't end up working out. There are a lot better body armors you can get. This body armor, I do have to say, is very unique on the market. I haven't seen any other, I'm going to look it up right now, any other body armors like this. There's none on the market that are similar, even without the strength roll. I'll check without the dex roll. Yeah, even without the strength or dex roll, this is like a unique body armor for some reason. It's not that great, so I'm not saying it's like the best one on the market, but what I was trying to do, I was trying to get increased dex, percent increased strength, and a huge life roll or percent life roll. And that's what I was trying to get on this build. I ended up rolling T1 strength and percent dex after recombinating like a bajillion times. And then I just like ended up multi-modding because I kind of gave up. What's better for the body armor, you're going to want to either get a Hire's Ire at a low to medium budget. I think my body armor is better than it, but Hire's Ire is really good because it gives you that huge suppression, which my body armor doesn't have. I never rolled suppression on it. That's another thing I missed out on. And another thing is it gives you huge flat cold damage with bow attacks. And this huge roll makes your damage go through the roof in cold damage. So definitely go for that. Another thing for the body armor is, so you want spell suppression, you want life, increased attributes. And I went with ailment avoidance because Raider, you get ailment avoidance through the Ascendency. And a little bit through the passive tree already, so we can be ailment avoidance immune. I just need to roll some of my jewels, and then I'm ailment avoidance immune. I'm not currently. I'm like 92%. I'm really close. Really annoying. So yeah. Before I move on, I forgot to mention the best helmet in the game for this build is the Black Sun Crest. Rolled well, obviously. If you try to get them as close to 15%, all the rolls. But this is definitely the best helmet in the game, damage-wise. But the only problem is you're not getting the reduced mana cost and the mana reservation efficiency. If you roll a different chest piece, you can get reduced mana reserved on your chest piece and then use this helmet, and then get reduced mana cost by getting I believe it's an anomalous or a divergent inspiration, and you have to check one of them. You get reduced mana cost of skills, and that will end up almost equaling out, so then you could use this helmet and do even more damage. But I didn't want to go that route because I wanted the more life. More life feels better to me. But there are some crazy chest pieces you can get. You can get like plus crit, additional curse, spell suppression, and then huge life. I believe is the like more optimal, heavier damage chest piece roll. But for the gloves, we went with +1 maximum frenzy charges. You can get this as a implicit on your gloves, and I like this better. than the implicits that I would get from the Searing Exarch and the Ether of Worlds. So the +1 max frenzy charges was really nice, especially for Raider. For Deadeye, this won't be worth it, so don't do it for Deadeye. And then I just kind of rolled it myself, and I was just kind of like, whatever, I'm happy with it. Life and attributes is what you want. Flat damage is really good. Attack speed is also really good. And spell suppression. Obviously, you want spell suppression as many things as possible to cap yourself on spell suppression. And boots. Boots are really difficult part of this build. For Raider, you need to get Tailwind Onslaught boots with movement speed. And these can be very pricey. I bought mine for about 9x. I see some, I think they're going for like 20x now or something. I don't know. I don't know how to price them correctly. So the price for this can be really, really high, which is really annoying because you really do need Tailwind to feel as good as a Deadeye. Deadeye just gets it for free, so it's kind of annoying. But if you're going to be playing Raider, you're going to need to make sure you get Tailwind. You can play it without it, but it won't feel as good as a Deadeye. That's the main argument point for the build. But yeah, other than that, pretty self-explanatory. Try to get life, spell suppression, attributes, all the normal things. So for the rings, you're going to want to get life, attributes, and you're going to want to get like 3. You can get 3 attributes on rings, and they're not like crazy expensive. You can get +1 frenzy charges on rings, which is very expensive, but if you manage to do it, you're going to be a big juicer. And then you're going to want to make sure you have an open prefix to craft non-channeling skills, have minus mana cost. Very important for this build to make sure your mana feels really good. And as for the belt, we went with Headhunter. Pretty self-explanatory. You can go with a Mage Blood or Headhunter, whatever. Those are end tier builds. Otherwise, you're going to be going with something like a Stygian Vise with attributes, and big life rolls are really nice. And you can socket in a abyssal socket or something, so you can get even more attributes and even more life. So I would go with a Stygian Vise if you don't have the currency for a Headhunter. So we're going to be getting into our gems, what we linked. So our primary thing we got is Tornado Shot going. Obviously, you want GMP, Greater Multiple Projectiles. If you can get Awakened, that's even better because that's one more arrow, just more damage. Chain, we're using Chain in this build. Unfortunately, we're not Deadeye because Chain is really nice because you get that +1 additional Chain on Deadeye. But overall, it's not a huge loss. If you just get Awakened Chain, it feels clean enough. Awaken elemental damage with attacks. You can just get the normal elemental damage with attacks, be just as good. Increase critical damage support, just more multi for our build. And the inspiration to reduce our mana cost and increase our crit and damage. This is really good. You can get a Divergent or Anomalous, or I forgot what it is, to reduce your mana cost even further, to be even better. And then as our main single target attack, we're using Barrage other than Totems this time, because Barrage feels very, very strong on this build for some reason. It feels better than Deadeye. So I went with it. Maybe it was because our attack speed was higher and because of all the frenzy charges. So Barrage was very, very strong. We got Awaken, added Cold, increased elemental damage, increased elemental strikes, inspiration, and elemental damage with attacks. So pretty self-explanatory links that we have for Barrage. It's our single target. Pretty much only use it on huge Arch Nemesis rare monsters that are pretty much impossible to kill. And then if we have enough Headhunter buffs, our Barrage just melts them, which is really nice. And then the map bosses get melted by Barrage. And then we have our what's it called? We're going to go over all the auras. So Enlighten, I have linked to Grace, Determination, and Herald of Ice. Herald of Ice isn't the best damage multiplier for our build, but it also does make that satisfying explosion for our build, so I kind of don't want to get rid of it just for that. Our other auras not linked to Enlighten are Defiance Banner and Precision. Also very nice to add damage and or to add defenses, and then to add some damage and make sure we're 100% hit chance on this build, because that's very important for your damage. We have a mark on hit support with Sniper's Curse and Life Tap Sniper's Mark. Very good damage multiplier, especially for bosses. It helps us melt. If you're going to farm metamorphs, it's actually very useful. Just any type of rare monster, it's really good. Mark on hit is a game changer. I love this support gem so much. And lastly, we have this Flame Dash, cast some damage taken, and Molten Shell. So we just have Flame Dash as our movement skill. You can opt to use Dash or Blink Arrow if that's what you prefer. And then, yeah, our Vol Molten Shell just for extra defense and a cast one damage taken. Pretty much only linked to that Molten Shell because I leveled up these two, so they're not linked to it. And that's it for the skill gems. The passive tree looks pretty similar if you guys have played this build previously. The only thing different is I sort of went into 2 clusters. I was expecting to level up a few more times and I didn't, so unfortunately I just have this like half cluster. If I want to be completely optimal, I would take out this cluster and put it elsewhere, like put it into chaos resistance or something, just to be more defensive, or throw it into just life or whatever, because this medium's really not doing the most for us unless we have like a large to go with it. But the large cluster jewel is really nice because we do get like attack speed, more leech, accuracy, all that stuff. Accuracy is a really big part of this build to make sure you're feeling good with. So I went both depth perception and acuity, and I have a level 20 precision, and we take the mastery. Precision has reduced mana reservation efficiency. To see the whole tree in depth, you're going to want to make sure you download POB and download this build onto it, or just copy the link for it. So you can see each of the masteries, because I'm not going to go over everything, but I'm just going to quickly go like siphon through it. Another thing I want to talk about is Lethal Pride is very, very good because it gives us flat attribute stats on every little node, and then we take a ton of nodes over here. And then I think I have, how many double damage nodes did I get? Did I get 3 double? Yeah, I got 3 double damage nodes on this, which is pretty insane. And I got a % strength. So I was really happy with this roll. I rolled at about probably 10 divines. I rolled. So that was really good. But yeah, basically we're just going for all the damage nodes, all the life nodes that we're passing, and it's pretty self-explanatory. I'll go into the jewels. So we're gonna want attack damage, large cluster jewel, and then for the mediums I went with 1 crit, and I went with 2 projectile damage ones. So repeater streamlined, and then I have repeater streamlined over here as well. The projectile speed feels really nice, and actually projectile speed is actually helping us with damage, so it's like a quality of life on top of being a damage roll, so pretty nice. And then we are using spoiler alert, we're using Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh for the endless munition, the +2 additional projectiles from the Deadeye. These range from, so this one's about 15x and this one's about 5x right now. Price vary depending on how far you are into the league, but this is definitely, I would say, mandatory on a mid-level budget. The +2 arrows are really hard to like not get. You can get +2 on your bow, but if you want a bow that's as good as mine currently, and it has fires +2 additional arrows, you're going to be looking at something like 100x. So it gets pretty insane. If I had some stupid money, I'd probably buy one and have endless munition, because the more arrows, the better. Also, we're using barrage, so the more arrows, definitely the better. That's pretty much it for the passive tree I wanted to go over. We'll go over the Ascendency really quick. Quartz Infusion gives us that phasing, spell reduction. We get that ailment immune. The exposure really doesn't help us for this build, but the element avoidance is really nice because you can be ailment immune in this build fairly easily. And then our power charge scaling, so we're generating power charges and getting +1, and then we're scaling our frenzy charges from Avatar of the Slaughter. Very, very strong node. I believe maximum charges for me is 7, so 7 times everything you see here is what we're getting. Pretty good damage from Raider. I'm really liking it. And yeah, and an Anoint, some of you guys asked, we're doing Utmost Intellect which is the node up here because we want to get the percent attribute. You can also go utmost, whatever it's called for the strength node. I forget where it is right here. Utmost might. You can anoint this one. Either one, they're both exactly the same because we treat all attributes as the Omniscience just points. Now we're going to be talking about the differences between Deadeye and Raider. Which one should you play? Well, you could play either. That's the answer. Thanks for watching. Bye. So the actual answer is that there's a couple of different points I want to hit on. So the first thing I want to hit on is that Deadeye is much better at a lower budget. Why is that? Because it gets some really good Ascendency nodes like Gathering Winds, so pretty much Tailwind and Tailwind increased effect for free because Gale Force is insane. You get +2 arrows for free, endless munitions, insane. And you get Ricochet +1 chain, so pretty much your chain support is already an awakened chain. And you get projectiles collide off terrain, which is really good for farming inside maps like Crimson Temple, which is the most popular thing to farm this league. And yeah, you're just really zoomy, speedy, and you get those benefits which really are just like a staple for the build. Now, the argument against Deadeye is that you can pretty much purchase all of its ascendancies. You can have all of its ascendancy nodes on your items, and that's very true. So for example, Gathering Winds, the Tailwind, you can get Tailwind on your boots, and you can get Tailwind effect on your boots. Now it's not going to be as big of an effect as Gathering Winds Ascendancy node, but you can get Tailwind itself on your boots, which mitigate that. You can get +2 arrows on your bow, really expensive, but you can get +2 arrows on your bow, and you can get +1 on your quiver, so that can kind of mitigate that. As well as the +1 chain, you can just buy Awakened chain other than regular chain, so you can kind of mitigate that. So it's 3 main nodes you can kind of mitigate by items. So what are the things about Raider that make it so special? Well, you get perma-phasing and spell suppression. Now you can get phasing, temporary phasing, so you can get phasing on kill, or you can get phasing on flask effect, but it's not perma, and perma obviously feels better against huge mobs, especially in Sentinel League when you would try to rally all the mobs together so you can pop your Pandemonium Sentinel to get as many mobs procced as possible. So Quartz Infusion was really clutch this league on Raider. Avatar of the Veil gives you ailment avoidance while phasing, and we're always phasing, so 50% ailment avoidance. And in my opinion, without being Raider in that 50% ailment avoidance, being ailment immune on Deadeye is very, very difficult. You're gonna have to really get really good boots and chest piece, and I don't even know how I would do it. I guess you need it on like your amulet or something, I don't know, but getting it on your Raider is very, very accessible, so definitely a big positive. And as well as frenzy charge scaling. Now we can generate frenzy charges on our Deadeye, definitely, but scaling our frenzy charges isn't really worth the investment, getting those +1 frenzy charges. Now if you are a Raider, you can get Avatar of the Slaughter, which gives you movement speed, attack damage per frenzy charge, and we can increase our max frenzy charges to like I believe 11, maybe 12 is our cap on our current build. If I would change my items, I can get 1 on my boots if I change my boots, and I can get 2 on each ring. And I don't know where else I would get it. I would have to like look deeper into it, but anyways, you can get some insane damage from your frenzy charges, whereas Deadeye, you're just getting those small added benefits that 4% increased damage and movement speed, which really like isn't that much worth investing into. So Raider really shines in that aspect. So overall, what I'm trying to say is that Raider, while it does have some really harsh downsides to Deadeye in the low budget, Raider has some really high upsides in the late game. And when you have like 100x, I would say, you can buy a really nice pair of boots, so you can get your tailwind onslaught, whatever boots, and then you can get like a forbidden flame and forbidden flesh to allocate endless munitions for the +2 arrows. I think the +2 arrows are the best thing to steal from the Deadeye, in my opinion, if you are Raider. And then if you are a Deadeye, you can either choose, in my opinion, Avatar of Slaughter and scale a few frenzy charges. That would be really good. Or you can do Quartz Infusion, where you get permaphasing and spell suppression. Those are the two primary choices, in my opinion, if you are Deadeye trying to steal using Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh. So you got some choices, but overall, Deadeye better at lower budget and easier to build. And Raider, you can build like a god, spend a ton of currency on, get tons of power frenzy charges. Sorry, I just made an assassin, so I keep saying power charges. Tons of frenzy charges, frenzy charge generation, frenzy charge scaling. Really easy to get spell suppress capped, ailment avoidance capped, and you can really scale very much damage in the Raider. So my recommendation is that if you have a build and you want to start playing this build ASAP and you don't have a huge budget, do Deadeye, play Deadeye. And if you plan on farming a ton and want to invest more into your build, you're gonna Ascendency swap into Raider later on. I highly if you have so Omniscience is about 40 exalts. The boots are probably like 15. Save some money for the bow and the body armor. I would say once you have about 80-ish exalts, you're also going to want to have a headhunter. But anyways, without headhunter, you're going to want to have about 70 to 80 exalts before you try this build in general. And once you do, I believe 80 exalts is perfect for Deadeye. That's all, like pretty much all you need. And then once you get into the hundreds of exalts, Raider, you might want to think to swap to Raider. Once you get some Tailwind Onslaught boots, you can safely swap to Raider, and it'll feel just as good. And you're also going to want to save money for Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame. Sorry. So yeah. Anyways, I don't know the exact budget. I don't know when to swap, but overall, my choice is Deadeye. I would choose Deadeye. If I had to play this build again, I would choose to start with Deadeye, go through majority of the game, and then once I have like 100 exalts to spend, I would consider swapping to Raider, swapping all my stuff, getting some crazy rings, and that's where I would start. So hope this information is valuable to you guys. I have been rambling for a little bit, so I'm going to cut it off. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. If you guys have any more comments and want to discuss the Raider versus Deadeye, have any points that I didn't successfully go over, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. I really appreciate you guys' support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.